only stands alone, a cartoon work of art.
The scripts were rejected, expect the unexpected.
On Tiny Toon Adventures, it's about to start.
They're furry, they're funny.
They're Buzz and Buster Bunny. Mushhead and Max has money. Elmira is a pain. He's hunting
And Bucky,
Dizzy Devil Yucky. Furballs and Monkey, and Go-Go is insane. At Acme University, we earn our toon degree. The teaching staff been getting laughs since 1933. We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony. It's Tiny Toon Adventures, come and join the fun. And now our song is done. It's time for Animaniacs, and we're zany to the max. So just sit back and relax, you'll laugh when you we're Animaniacs. Come join the Warner Brothers and the Warner Sisters lot. Just for fun we run around the Warner movie lot. And they lock us in the tower whenever we get caught. But we break loose and they're not loose, and now you know the plot. We're Animaniacs. God is cute and Yanko yaks. Wacko packs away the snacks while the playden plays the sax. We're Animaniacs. Be Pinky and the brain who wants to rule the universe. Put letters brought together, snappy wax them with her purse. Martin says it's Mindy, Marina sings a verse. For writer's script, we have no script, my bother to rehearse. We're Animaniacs. We have paid for play contracts. We're singing to the max, there's baloney in our slacks. We're Animaniacs, totally insane. Here's the show's name. Animaniacs, those are the facts.
Gee, Ray, what do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The Pinky and the Brain, yes, Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane. They're laboratory mice, their genes can't concise. They're Pinky and the Brain, 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 brain. Before each night is done, their plan will be unfurled by the dawning of the sun. They'll take over the world. They're Pinky and the Brain. Yes, Pinky and the Brain. Their twilight campaign is easy to explain. To prove their mousy work, they'll overthrow the earth. They're Pinky and the Brain, 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 brain.
Our world is in peril. Gaia, the spirit of the earth, can no longer stand the terrible destruction plaguing our planet. She sends 5 magic rings to 5 special young people. Watch from Africa with the power of earth. From North America, Wheeler with the power of fire. From the Soviet Union, Minka with the power of wind. From Asia, Yi with the power of water. And from South America, Mati with the power of heart. When the 5 powers combine, they summon Earth's greatest champion, Captain Planet. The power is yours!
Something strange in the neighborhood. Who you gonna call? There's something
there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe against Cobra and Destro, fighting to save the day. He never gives up, he's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe.
Get on the planet and then a jam, a diabolical plan of only one man. A paradigm and international funk and an army of 3 A's or he people jump.
Yeah, invaders, you forgot about the boys and the guy who made us. Zip Zoolander, master of voice box.
We undermine the plot. We're split boys and we like making noise. Intelligent joy.
I'm cook, and I can taste the heat. But don't forget, you are what you eat.
Tommy Watson, let me swivel and say, I rock to the dock and I save the day.
The name and the brain.
My name is Ninjas, the battle hinges on how I use them as audio and singes.
I'm Zip Zoolander, ZZ for short, you know I fight the corp, I'm the boss master. Listen up, you all, you're the boys brigade. When it's laser time, put on the 3D shade. Laser time, boys!
It's my show, ding dong.
See, nothing's working. I'm muted. Green screen's not in the right position. Been rusty. I've been sick still kind of sick now. Also, shout out Dylan Burns for the restream. Appreciate it. Still, you can kind of probably still hear it in my voice. I'm still a little stuffed up. I got my Dayquil. Taking those. Got my smoothie. Trying to be healthy. We out here, decades happening in weeks, with decades of psyche damage occurring mere days, sometimes in hours. We started the week with the inauguration. I feel like enough has been said about that, but obviously we're all so stupid for thinking that in any way the small being neurodivergent Elon Musk meant anything untowards by his just awkward gesture at the inauguration. That being said, I'm sure this video of him speaking to the AfD, Germany's far-right party, will have no context to add to that.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Unfortunately, I can't hear you very well. So hopefully, wow. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well.
Can everyone hear him well?
The audio I'm
wouldn't want you to not be able to hear him.
From my side is I can't hear you. So hopefully this is coming through. You know, please confirm that you can hear me okay?
Yes.
I don't know, raise your hand or something. Okay, all good?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, I wanted to really say that I'm very excited for the AfD, and I think you are really the best hope for Germany. I think some things that something I think that is just very important is that people take pride in Germany and being German. This is very important. It's okay to be proud to be German. This is a very important principle, it's okay. It's good to be proud of German culture, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything. You know, I think we want to have unique cultures in the world. We want to have people that have, we don't want everything to be the same everywhere, where it's just one big sort of soup. We
now offering Tesla Cyber Rope.
You go to different countries and you experience a different culture, and it is unique and special and good. And that the German government takes actions to protect its citizens and make sure that it seeks the health and well-being of the German people. The German people are sort of really an ancient nation, goes back thousands of years. I was even sort of read Julius Caesar's account of first encountering the German tribes in the Gaulic campaigns, and he was like, "Wow, very impressive. These are very, very powerful warriors." I think there's frankly too much of a focus on
the word barbarian was created specifically to mock how the Gauls spoke. Like barbar, that's how that was like them doing they just do bar. That barbarians, they speak the language of, they were mocking them. I don't know.
And we need to move beyond that. Children.
Maybe they respected them as fighters, but I don't know if the Romans respected Gallic culture.
Should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, or even let alone their parents. Children should not be past guilt, and we need, I think there's frankly too much of a focus on past guilt, and we need to move beyond that.
Which specific past guilt are we talking about?
Children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, or even let alone their parents, their great-grandparents, maybe even. And we should be
what are we talking about?
And excited about a future for Germany. That's really my message, is be optimistic, excited, and
he just wants to
preserve
secure the existence of the German people and a future of German children. And that's what's weird about that.
Too, which is, I think you want more self-determination for Germany and for the
I don't think it was the Gauls with
and
the
less from Brussels.
Was it?
That's
No.
my opinion. I think
Hannibal was from
Brussels.
Basically Northern Africa.
Sort of global
That's
elite.
where he got the elephants.
And we're giving talks at these
there were lions running around Scotland and England and stuff at a time before the Romans got there and dragged them all off to the Colosseum. But at no point did the Gauls have easy access to elephants. Yeah, Carthage. Yes, that was. I gapped on the name, but yeah, Carthage is basically was in Northern Africa. Oh, Babar. Okay, yeah, that's
conferences. What I've said is there should be less global government.
No, Barbar. BAR.
By individual countries, so I very much hope that the AfD does well, and that Alice Beadle does become chancellor. I think that would be very good for Germany, and I think it's very important. I hope that German people unite and strongly support AfD. Go.
Yes, exactly. That was a great game. Tool using mammal. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah. Elon Musk tells AfD rally in Germany, I think there's too much focus on past guilt in Germany. And we need to move beyond that. Children should not feel guilty for the sins of their parents, their great-grandparents even. Things that make you go, All right, well, reeling it back to Canadian politics, and back to the Liberal leadership race. We also had some other breaking news this morning. Anita Anand transport minister has endorsed Carney. Just yet one more cabinet minister endorsing Carney over Freeland.
The past weeks, I've taken time to think about what is best for our country, our party, and our beautiful town of Oakville. I've spoken with Liberals, including the amazing supporters with me today, to discuss what is best at this time in Canada's history. And we agree that Mark Carney is the leader that Canada needs. I worked with Mark during the global financial crisis almost 20.
See, I'm almost more focused on the, sorry to call people set dressing, but they're being used as set dressing. Because that's what I've heard from a lot of, like, of the MPs, or I don't even know if there's many cabinet ministers who haven't endorsed yet. But of the ones that, like, who haven't endorsed yet, basically the argument I've heard is that, like, their ridings are very split. So this is like an Anand endorsement. Whoever Anand was going for was going to be a big one. That was one that a lot of people were watching for because she was previously thought to be in the running or considering throwing her hat in the ring for the leadership run. So there's a lot of eyes on who this endorsement would be. So it is, I think, notable that she is making this endorsement, I'm assuming, in front of like family and / like constituents, Liberal members in her riding. That's what I'm assuming these people are. It's probably the people who would be willing to show up to your like living room, presumably to be the background in your endorsement video. So yeah, no, this is an interesting one.
20 years ago, and I saw at that time that Mark has the ability to steer Canada during very difficult times and to ensure that Canada
probably could have gotten her a lav mic.
So join us in
acoustics in her living room aren't great.
For leader of the Liberal Party and
I'm
Prime
being
Minister of
nitpicky at this
Canada.
point.
Sign up at liberal.ca, and most of all, remember, go Mark, go. Go Mark, go. Over the past,
I guess in the Team Canada hockey jersey too. So we have, I don't know if you guys have, I'm assuming, I'm not going to be surprised or upset if you guys aren't paying $8 a week for a Hilltime subscription. But this is we do have an endorsements list up. I think, okay, this is, because it was like, you had to scroll individually before, which was not helpful, but it's much better now. So yeah, so as it's, I don't know if this includes, I don't think this includes Anand. No. So, I think including Anand, 50 Liberal MPs have now at least endorsed Mark Carney, followed by at least 26 for Freeland and 2 for Gould. I don't think I've seen any more since the ones that have endorsed Gould. So she's got Sheila Copps, who's a former MP. She's got Hefner and Damoff, who are the 2 sitting MPs. But as you can see, a lot of purple for Carney. He's got McKinnon, current Labour Minister, and now House Leader, taking over for Gould while she runs for leadership. That'll be a fairly easy job since there's no House to lead currently, since it's been prorogued. God, I almost forgot that word. Freeland's got Oliphant, DeBrusen, Maloney, Vandenbeld, but then we're back to Carney. There's a lot of them, so I'll just focus on the cabinet ministers. Oh God, apologies if some of you are cabinet ministers for like the ones I forget, because there's like the economic development ministers that I always forget who they are, and I have to double check. And it's a Saturday, so I'm not opening our comments. I think that's reasonable. Back to Freeland. She's got a few more. Couteau, but a lot of hers are MPs. Jolie was another. Jolie and Champagne were both big ones for Carney, because as like potential leadership contestants themselves until LeBlanc passed up on it. And I think once LeBlanc said the Trump tariff threat required his full attention, every other, like, specifically U.S.-facing cabinet hopeful, including Champagne as Industry, Jolie, Foreign Affairs, they couldn't really run anymore, because then the question would be, well, why don't you think it requires your full attention? And as we saw, most of them, some of their, letters and reasonings for running almost echoed those lines as well. We got Jenna Suds for Carney, Ananda Sangri, she's a Children and Families Minister, Ananda Sangri, Crown Indigenous Relations Minister, Mark Halland, Health Minister for Freeland, Reef Irani, he's the Attorney General, Justice Minister, Ahmed Hussein, International Development Minister, all three of those are for Freeland, Housing Minister, Sean Fraser for Carney. I'm assuming he's doing it because he likes Carney, but also Sean Fraser's press conference where he announced he was retiring got completely overshadowed because Freeland announced she was resigning, like, in the middle of his press conference. Goody Hutchings, I think she's Atlantic Economic Development. Okay, now I'm open. I've already gone back on my words because I've forgotten which minister. Rural Economic Development. Okay, I didn't even have to open. I just had to Google her name and it was like in the autofill, so we're still safe. RSJ. If you went to university, most library accounts for alumni come with newspaper subs. Carleton. Yes. A lot of universities, especially Carleton and U Ottawa. I think you could probably get access through your library subscription. What is this? Xavier Trudeau, son of Prime Minister, is launching a... Oh my god, please tell me he's doing rap. Oh my god. Yes, please. Yes. Okay. Alright, great start to my Saturday. Xavier Trudeau, son of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, is launching a musical career. Age 17, he has released an excerpt from his first song entitled Till the Night's Done, which is scheduled for release on February. Alright, apologies, Xavier. Who knows, maybe it could be good. Well, his dad did legalize it. Oh. When did that say? February 17th? February 21st. Okay. So excited. I don't know if it's gonna be rap. I can't. It could be like R&B. I don't know. Oh my god! What if he has like? What if he just has like an undeniably incredible voice, and we all just have to accept it? Like, it's not auto-tuned at all. I'm not. I wouldn't put a lot of money down on that, but I'm not saying it's not terrible, but he's not. It's not Catalina wine mixer quality, I'm assuming. Rogan, can I please steal that? Because I'm trying to figure out what a good, funny tweet here is. And that's... Can I please just tweet that instead? Thank you. Xavier track featuring Baron and the Rizzler win. Is it? I'm gonna give it. He deserves the respect of the capital T on the Rizzler. No, I think like a real quick game of Civilization. Like 1v1. Turn barbarians up to full. Just see how he handles it. Oh, you can get it through Algonquin? Sick. Oop, almost just leaked my DMs. So yeah. Well, there's our sort of rundown of who's endorsing who. We've been trying to update it as quickly as possible. And then some just real great news on Thursday evening dropped that Doug Ford's calling an early election. I believe it's February 27th. Though I keep hearing 28th. So I guess we'll hear it.
Well, Brampton, it's a very exciting morning in the Flower City. And
oh, yeah, this is an announcement for the...
And we're going to get that done. In education, we're investing kilometers of new rapid... I want to thank you all
for
middle income.
So speaking of that...
Media, please come to...
On the global, guys are all champions.
Your name and outlet. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
30 minutes of questions he takes.
This is an exciting part of the whole speech here.
Definitely. Morning, Premier. Lane Harrison, CBC News.
Good morning.
We, myself and many of my colleagues have it on good authority as of yesterday that you will be calling an election next Wednesday. I was hoping you could send us into the weekend with a little bit of certainty and tell us once and for all, will you be calling an election next Wednesday?
We will be calling the election next Wednesday. I'll be seeing the Lieutenant Governor on Tuesday. We need a mandate from the people to fight against Donald Trump's tariffs, the attack he's coming against our families, our businesses, our communities. And with a strong mandate, we will be able to fight with Donald Trump to make sure we stop the tariffs and make sure that we give certainty to the people of Ontario. It may take investing tens of billions of dollars. We'll do tens of billions of dollars. It's no different than during the pandemic. We'll make sure we secure people's livelihoods, and I will do whatever it takes to protect the people of Ontario.
Where are you running?
Because we're the engine of Canada, protecting all Canadians. We will not back down.
So speaking of that mandate, I mean, if you feel that you need a new mandate, do you feel like you've lost the confidence of the people of Ontario?
Nice.
To the contrary, or Canada as well. Right now, there's a lack of leadership at the federal level. And at the federal level, we don't know who's going to be the next prime minister. Right now, we need strong leadership in this country. We need strong leadership in this province, and we're going to deliver that strong leadership for the people of Ontario.
Hi, good morning, Premier Sue Dougal with the Trillium. You're entering another election not having lived up to some of the promises from the previous two election campaigns, including a 20% tax cut for middle-income earners, ending hallway health care. Why shouldn't Ontarians take you at your word when you make promises during this upcoming campaign?
Well, thank you for that question.
You might?
You know, let me put it this way. The people will have a choice in the next 30 days if they want to go backwards to the dark days and the gloom and doom that we all experienced in 15 years under the Liberal and NDP rule, that 300,000 people lost their jobs. Let's look at the last close to
Liberal
7 years.
NDP
There's
that
over
sounds
850,000 people working today that didn't have a job 7 years ago. There's people that, when it came to riding transit, they weren't building any transit. We're building the largest transit projects in North America. We're investing more than any government in the history of this country into healthcare, increasing the health spending by over $33 billion, building new medical schools across the province, making sure that we build regular schools, adding 15,000 new doctors, registering over 100,000 new nurses, reducing the burden of taxation on over $8 billion per year to companies. We've attracted over $70 billion of investment here in Ontario over the last 4 years. We have another $70 billion of investment from companies around the world coming to invest in Ontario this year because of the people, the strength of the people. I'll put the people of Ontario against anyone in the entire world, including our American friends.
You're also facing a lot of calls, including from the provincial Liberals, to cancel your government's plan to pay Elon Musk's Starlink $100 million to provide satellite internet to thousands of Ontario homes and businesses. Bonnie Crombie has said that if you're serious about standing up to Trump, you would cancel this deal with Musk, who is a Trump ally. Are you planning to keep this deal if Trump does impose tariffs on Canada?
Well, I find it ironic coming from Bonnie Crombie, that's using Elon Musk's social media on Twitter, using it every single day, and he's making billions of dollars. We went out for a transparent bid. They came out top. They're the largest in the entire world, as everyone knows. Other companies couldn't even handle the infrastructure, but I can assure you, we'll keep an eye on that. But we need to deliver internet as we promised. Under the Liberals, they did absolutely nothing. We're making sure that every single person in Ontario is connected to the internet.
Unless it's like
you can just go up to Caledon and you don't have service. We're providing internet service to everyone across the province, including First Nations communities in the far north. We'll make sure they're connected to the rest of the world.
Good morning, Premier. This is Nitin Chopra from Prime Asia TV. Premier, one side we have a crisis in terms of the incoming tariffs. Other side, our parliament is closed, means closed. It's very shocking for the Canadians.
Yeah, that one was
what is your take on
I guess
this?
You could have got it because you
why
were,
not, as an emergency
media,
case, we should run the parliament, do a debate there, and see what is best for the Canadians. And also, if you can say something about.
I was able to stop into the Gould event to take some pictures for Party Central. She may not have a lot of cabinet or caucus endorsements, but she's got a crap ton of young people and staffers, so I don't know what that means.
The foreign relations, because biggest markets in the world is India, China, Russia. We don't have a cordial relations with them. With Saudi Arabia, no cordial relations, and now the USA enter in the bucket. So why don't we have a foreign relations who can make all these relations fixed? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. There's nothing more than I'd want a stable federal government. Right now, we don't have a stable federal government. We won't have one till the next election. I'd love to see the election being called.
She said her average donation is $200, which I did that in math. I forget what it was, but what's 50K divided by 200? Calculator's saying 250. Is that right? That seems right. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, she's probably doing like in a very limited sense, if there's a sort of someone doing the Bernie Sanders model of like smaller donations, focusing on the younger wing of the party, like that's definitely, so I could see that that's a definite path that she could pursue. I think that would maybe she said $20. I heard $200 at her at like the event I was at, and I like wrote it down when I had said that, because she immediately said like it's like our average donation is $200, which shows the strength of our support. Like people are really giving. So she wasn't saying it like, because if she had said $20, she would have focused on like the fact that she has a lot of people supporting rather than the strength of the support she's getting from those people.
Tomorrow, but again, that's all the more reason Ontario needs a voice at the table. Folks, let me tell you how the politics works, no matter if it's this country or the U.S. You have a new federal government or an existing federal government. You need a loud voice at the table. If they're looking to do cuts or they need an investment, there's nothing that speaks louder to every government in this country, all my great premiers and their great premiers, or with the federal government, or with the Trump tariffs. You need to have a loud voice, and the only way you have that voice is having the largest mandate we could ever give to our PC party. We will protect the people of Ontario.
Premier, since Ontario will be going into elections soon, my question is in terms of the crime. We salute our police officers because they save us day and night. But what message you want to give to all the police forces across Ontario? We don't want to lose another police officer on duty. Our lawmakers are releasing them, and police officers are keep on catching them. So what is the fix? Which level of government will do it? And also in this, why don't there is a legislation that police has to release the criminal's picture? Many press releases, they don't do that. Why there is no legislation to name and shame the criminals and release their pictures? Thank you.
There's no government in the history of this country, in the history of the province.
We do have the standard of innocent proven guilty. So just
has supported our police more than we have. We have put hundreds of millions of dollars to the police, no matter if it's our helicopters or other areas. But I'm going to hand it over to the person that's
like. There's any like, unless in cases of minors maybe, but I don't think there's any real restrictions against releasing the pictures. I think that's discretion of the police officers or the police force.
Charge of making sure we catch these criminals. And the problem is, folks, when we catch the criminals, guess what? They're out on bail. They're out on bail because we have some weak need, not all, I always say not all, weak need JPs, weak need judges that after they kick your door in, they put a gun to your head, they get out on bail. They don't get out on bail once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, up to 8 times to go out and repeat that crime. If I was the federal government that controls the criminal code, I'd have mandatory sentences. You kick someone's door in and put a gun to their head, you're going to jail for 15 years. You aren't going to see the sunlight for 15 years. You watch how quickly those doors stop getting kicked in. But I'll hand it over to Minister Graham McGregor.
Thank you. I can't add anything better than what the Premier said, although I want to be a police.
News Radio.
How you doing, Richard?
A little yes or no question I'm hoping here with the campaign kicking off next week. Can you commit this morning, will you commit this morning, Premier, to releasing a fully costed platform at some point during the campaign?
Oh, this was the...
Well, that's why we have budgets, and we'll make sure that we deliver that budget. I think people know exactly where we're going. We'll make sure that we communicate with the people where we're investing, where we're going to support these businesses as we did during the pandemic. We'll do against the attack on our economy from President Trump. We'll make sure we support the people, and we'll support communities across this province.
People, Premier, I don't think people know exactly where you're going, especially in terms of the tens of billions of dollars you're talking about spending now in stimulus, and you haven't tabled a budget in a year. Why will you not release a fully costed platform?
Well, he said not all the
Richard,
judges.
we're fully releasing it. And guess what, Richard? Maybe you're one of the jobs that I'm going to have to protect. Because when the tariffs hit, it affects the media, it affects manufacturing, it affects every single sector in this province. So you better pray that we get elected, because I'm going to protect everyone's job, including the media's job.
That was a little worried.
Good morning, Premier Ford. Ahmed Al-Bayoumi with Polycorner. Premier, I want to put your words back to you. On September 1st, 2021, you called the federal election called by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as, I quote, unnecessary, and you suggested that Mr. Trudeau chose to go to the polls rather than focus on the pandemic. We've seen you liken this tariff war that we're expecting to the emergency that we faced during the pandemic, that you'll need to plunge tens of billions of dollars into our economy. So, Mr. Ford, if Trudeau's snap election in 2021 was unnecessary, why is yours necessary? And if Mr. Trudeau chose to go to the polls rather than focus on the pandemic, would you agree that you've chosen to go to the polls rather than focus on the tariff war?
Well, let's make it very clear. Every single day during this election, I'll still be Premier. Every single day, I'll be talking to our ministers. We'll be getting policies out there. I will be going down as the chair of the Federation, along with all my colleagues, all the premiers, down to Washington on February 11th and 12th
I do
to
some
talk to the
federal
senators,
justice
the
stuff,
Congress
but not
people,
that
to make sure we send our story down there. Then I'll be returning again on the 20th, and I'll be meeting with the premiers every single week with the Prime Minister to make sure that we have a retaliation plan, which we do. We have multiple stages of it, but I can assure you one thing. I'm a worker. I'll be working 20 hours a day as we go through this transition with these tariffs. Now, this isn't just going to happen for 30 days. The decisions the people make in the next 30 days will affect themselves, their children, and their grandchildren for the next 20 to 25 years. If you could just imagine this, folks. Imagine Bonnie Crombie or Merrick Stiles sitting across from President Trump negotiating a deal. It would be an absolute disaster.
So he will be
God help us if that ever happens.
Going to an election. The election will start on Wednesday, and then I think the vote is February 22nd.
Premier Ford, I want to take you back to 1990. The Liberals stood at 50% support in the polls. David Peterson's personal popularity was at 54%. Mike Harris and Bob Rae at the time weren't considered popular alternatives, and he called an election to, and I quote, protect the province in the event of a national crisis. He denied that he was being an opportunist and trying to capitalize on polling. He then went on to lose that election, and it was the second worst defeat for the governing party. Mr. Ford, you're about to call an election. Does the ghost of Mr. Peterson scare you?
You know something? I love you, media. You guys are classic. But 35 years ago, he woke up and decided to call election. He wasn't facing the largest attack in the history of our country, an attack against our families, against what they do.
That doesn't seem like a good time to do an election, though.
Attack against our businesses,
hey!
against our communities.
Mark, thank you for following. I didn't see all the numbers. Mark,
country in the entire world.
Sorry.
I can tell you, folks, I talk to endless Americans, endless Congress people, senators, governors. Not one single one of them have ever said Canada is the problem. We are in a fight of our lives. I can assure you, a fight for our livelihoods, a fight for our jobs, and a fight to make sure we have a strong voice against these tariffs, a strong voice against the new federal government or existing federal government. We need a mandate from the people. And again, I'll repeat what I said.
That is true.
The choice that people are going to have over the next 30 days will affect every aspect of their life and their kids' lives and their grandchildren's lives for the next 20 to 30 years.
Going for beers and pizza later. Trunks, did you say you're from Ottawa too? You ever been to Pizza Nerds? I've never had Pizza Nerds inside Pizza Nerds, so I'm excited. But like I've ordered it a bunch, and it's one of my favorite places to get pizza in Ottawa, I would say. Oh yeah, I'm slouching, but yeah, Pizza Nerds, quite possibly my favorite pizza in Ottawa. So good. Like even like their pepperoni clears so many other pizza places. Like they're like you take their best most decadent pizza, I'll take the pepperoni at Pizza Nerds over them almost any time. All right, Celsius time. So yeah, you know, and they're like, it's gonna be controversial. Their Hawaiian is fantastic. Big old chunks of pineapple, which complements the ham and bacon. That's so important. Everyone keeps getting distracted in the debate about does pineapple belong on pizza? And the question is yes, when it's with bacon and ham. That's the thing. You don't just have pizza with just pineapple on it. That would be silly. No one's arguing for that. It complements the ham and the bacon.
Dave Casey, the Canadian Press. Good morning, Premier.
Big W, sir.
You just said you're able to do both
bringing
jobs,
back
Premier
Twitch
and
politics,
campaign as leader
putting
of the
it on
BC
our
Party
shoulders
over the next month. You know, would sort of suggest that you're able to do both, as well as work on your current mandate as leader
putting
of the
it on
BC
our
to fight the
shoulders.
tariffs. Why do you think you need a new mandate?
Because I'll repeat myself
626
again. You need a strong
total
mandate.
viewers
When you have a strong
in all of
mandate
Twitch politics
in
right now.
politics, and you have a strong mandate from the people for the next 4 years to last over the 4 years of the Trump administration, I can tell you the opposition treats you with a little more respect.
With 10 viewers,
Opposed to
I
being
am
vulnerable.
the
Always
7th
people
highest
think, okay, they're going
Twitch
into an election.
politics
It doesn't matter
streamer
if it's PC or liberal
by
or
views.
conservative or whatever color stripe you are. When you have a strong mandate from the people.
No, I'm not the Canadian Hassan. I will inherit Rick Mercer's throne, I think is what I've decided. We don't need our own Hassan. We don't need our own Joe Rogan. We used to have Rick Mercer, and the country worked. I forget who was saying it, but it was like someone made a tweet where it's like he had no right to retire. We used to have talking to Americans, and we were happy as a country. Yeah, and like half of your right-wing commentators are Canadian in the first place. If we had a Canadian Joe Rogan, he'd just move to Texas and we'd lose him immediately.
You get to get a lot more when you have a mandate opposed to not having a mandate. So we're asking the people of Ontario, we're asking for your vote.
Yes.
We're asking for a mandate.
I could do
We
a
need the
rant
largest
in an
mandate
alleyway
in Ontario's history
with
to
a
move this
front-facing
province
camera.
forward.
No problem.
Speaking of tunnels, experts say the super tunnel under the 401 is going to cost tens of billions of dollars.
Well, I think Ryan Reynolds mostly lives in Vancouver, so we have him most of the time,
these tariffs
except for when he's shooting a movie.
Is it feasible to do both? Is the super tunnel, going to be on ice? Can we afford both?
Absolutely. What we can't afford the $55
Everyone keeps asking what Trudeau's going to do after politics, and I think that's what he does. He's going to go work with like Maximum Effort Productions and
the
go the Obama
GTHA,
route. That's what I bet.
Traffic congestion is costing our economy, our families, $55 billion a year. There's certain groups of people, there's certain groups like the Bonnie Crombies and Merit Styles that don't believe in building infrastructure. They proved it to us for 15 years. They don't believe in building the 413. Bonnie Crombie doesn't want the 413. She'd rather have a little dirt road. She'd rather raise taxes like she did out in Mississauga.
Well, that was the other thing I was saying. Like, you know, what was that? There was the one YouTube thing where it was like, Chino and Gordon, and who's the third guy? And Fred. What I think, this is my pitch. You do a Gino, Fred, like Gordon road trip, but with the original Three Amigos. Not the comedian, but like the Obama. These guys, dude. Put them in a nice, like, sort of a real swanky RV van and have them like road trip through North America and Mexico. Put it on fucking Crave, HBO or whatever. I think people would watch. I think that's I think, like, I'm clipping this right now so that if they steal the idea, I can sue. Tell me that's not a great idea. Tell me, look me in the eyes and tell me people wouldn't watch that.
As one of the largest cities in Ontario, she had the low.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And they can, like, have different, like, guests show up every once in a while.
Lowest housing starts in the entire country. That's the difference between Mayor Brown, that has the fastest growing city, and Bonnie Crombie, that built absolutely nothing when it came to building housing. Didn't want to name Hazel McCallion Line because, as she said, everything's named after Hazel. And I told, that's disgusting. And I told Hazel that before she passed. She found it disgusting.
Good morning, Premier. My name is Manan Gupta from Road Today. Today is a miracle happening on Main Street, Brampton, with your big announcements. With the election undergoing next week, can Ontarians expect a miracle on the 407, the toll expressway? Can we expect a major goodie coming our way through you?
Well, we're going to be announcing something on the 407. I'm the first government to ever cut the tolls.
Which was an obvious lie.
The first government to cut the tolls on the 412, the 418. We're going to continue working with the 407. We own the far back end, the furthest
That's the weirdest
side of the 407.
Rumor. Where did that come from?
Again,
the Jennifer Aniston
difference.
Obama thing.
Bonnie Crombie and Marit Stiles, they believe in tolls. They call them gimmicks, putting money back into people's pockets.
She was really banking on that LRT namesake.
They call getting rid of this license plate
legacy.
sticker a gimmick. They call one fare that you can hop off the GO train, hop on Brampton Transit, the TTC, Mississauga Transit as a gimmick. They understand one thing. It's tax the people to death. They believe it's their money. It's the government's money. It's not the government's money. It's the people's money. It's the people's money in this room that pay taxes every day. That's the difference.
I honestly had to double check that, like, because I was pretty sure Mayor Hazel had passed away, but I was like, there was a part of me going, like, she might still be kicking around at like 100. And what would she be now? She'd be 103 on the 20 because she died in the I'm looking up 29th, 2023. She was 101. Damn.
Between our party and the Liberals and NDP, that they destroyed this province. We're finally getting away from the doom and gloom of 15 years. We're a manufacturing powerhouse. We're
like making it to 100 would, like, it's almost even hard to think about, because it's like, and like what would also I feel probably be weird is like what happens every birthday, where it's your birthday and it doesn't really feel that much different. Where it had, like, that would I think be weird, where it's like like it's your birthday, you turn 100 and you're like, there's no like there's no herald of trumpets. I mean, she might have gotten a parade and trumpets turning 100, actually. So,
an economic powerhouse.
In fairness,
there's
she may have
$70
had some
billion of
fanfare.
investment that came here, and 850,000 more people are working today than were working 7 years ago. And we're going to make sure we gain another 850,000 jobs.
My quick follow-up is related to a recent unanimous...
I mean, is that what the most common Ford criticism you hear is that he's actually a liberal now? Is that from conservatives? Because there is sort of it's not really a major thing, but you can definitely see that friction sometimes between the federal conservatives and the more, like, the people who support the federal conservatives and the PCs in Ontario. Of conservative, yeah.
I don't even know who you
Well, because, like, yeah, he was Legion AOD, thank you for the follow. Yeah, well, he's done a lot of sort of, like, basically, like, just textbook definition populist things that a lot of people like, which, if you don't like them, you're gonna you see liberals being happy about it. If you're a conservative and you see Ford do something and the liberals like it, you're gonna be like, oh, he's a liberal. Like, I think that's the whole, like, where it's like to a partisan being nonpartisan seems negatively partisan. Like, if you're a conservative and you go like, well, the liberals have a point, and you're trying to be unbiased, that's a demonstration of your partisan bias to that partisan sort of thing. So I think that may explain that. I don't think Ford is a, like, big L liberal, as it were.
Motion passed by City Council Brampton related to road safety. The motion says safer drivers are equal to safer roads. So since you are here, our Honorable Transportation Minister is here, what is your ministry and your government going to ensure that there are loopholes, if any, in the training and testing standards are filled in so that Ontarians stay safe on the roads?
I'll turn it over to my Minister of Transportation.
Thank you very much, Manan. Of course, the government has taken a variety of actions with respect to safer roads. We've passed multiple pieces of legislation, and we continue to protect the integrity of the system, launching audits, reviews to make sure that we do so. My colleague, Amarjot Sandhu from Brampton West, introduced a motion in the House with respect to even on the AZ licensing perspective as well, where it would ask
It's like we've got a new interview from Polyev as well.
Driver experience driving.
An exact figure.
Ford?
Good morning, Premier. I am Mohammed Hamza from The Pointer. My question
Prami,
is
the
regarding
Transport Minister?
Estimated. Do you have update number for the estimated cost of the LRT project?
I should pay more attention to the, like, cabinet
estimated
in
cost for the project was 2.8
the provinces.
Yeah, we don't have an exact figure, but we will be getting that exact figure. But we know one figure.
There's so many goddamn people I have to
build it.
remember in federal
And
politics
that's
already.
the figure that's unacceptable. We need to build proper transit for the people of Brampton, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
If you get re-elected, will you add that projected amount in the 2025 provincial budget?
Yes, once we get the exact numbers, we'll make them public.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Premier Rob Ferguson, Toronto Star.
Hey, Rob.
In terms of an early election, are you scared because polls suggest Pierre Poilievre will win the next federal election, and voters generally prefer to have different parties in power in Ottawa and at Queen's Park?
No, not whatsoever. We need a mandate because of these tariffs, and when we have a strong mandate...
What's funny is this is almost literally the argument Trudeau made for why he had to do an election in 2021.
Strong mandate to any new federal government. It doesn't matter if it's a red party, orange party, green party, or blue party. When you have a strong mandate at the table, they listen a lot more carefully, I promise you.
But aren't you trying to get out ahead of a federal election because polls suggest Pierre Poilievre will win and he's planning a lot of cuts, and that will reflect badly on conservative governments across the country?
Well, my job, when we hopefully get a big mandate, it's going to be standing up to any federal government that wants to cut health care from Ontario, cut
Oh, you used to be Treasury Board president. Yeah, that's one of those. See, like, that's one of those things where it's like you're given Treasury Board president, And people will think that that's sort of a demotion to be like, oh, because it's not as visible of a file. But that's a role you give them to be like, okay, can you handle the sort of the administrative stuff? And it's like an educational experience to understand the sort of machinery of government too. So yeah.
People from Ontario, once we have a strong mandate, as I say, it's amazing how politics works, folks. Politicians listen a lot more carefully to someone that has a strong mandate for the next 4 years compared to a mandate.
Which was what people said when Anand was given Treasury Board, because they're like, oh, it's such a demotion because she'll be so less visible. And then the explanation that people would give, and this could have been excuse making from the pro-Anand side, was that, well, it'll help her better understand the sort of like machinery of government and how things are sort of paid for and how things run.
8 months.
This will be the last reporter.
Hey, good morning, Premier Ford. It's Colin DeMello from Global News.
Hi, Colin.
So when the election is called, the government goes into caretaker mode. And during that time, the government is not supposed to use government resources, or your party is not supposed to use government resources for any partisan activity. So if you go down to Washington twice, how are you planning to get there?
Well, we will be paying ourselves. And
Great question.
I'm glad you said that. You know, here I go. I'm going to toot my own horn. I'm the only premier in the history of this entire country that's never expensed a penny in the last 6 3/4 years, and I never will spend the taxpayers' money. I don't care if it's my coffee at Tim Hortons or a lunch. I will never expense it, and it's all public.
Is this thing?
If you look down the list, you'll see a 0 beside my name and a 0 beside Vic Fideli's name.
Is that true?
I guess everyone else
must
has
be, because that would be
costs.
really
Everyone
else's. Yeah, just everyone else's.
Don't let a good crisis go to waste.
It's
What would you
expensing
say
shit.
to people who are looking at this moment right now and saying Doug Ford is just taking advantage of a crisis?
Well, let me tell the people, whoever say that, obviously don't agree with building transit, building roads and highways, upgrading our healthcare sector, focusing on our education and building new schools. What we do have to do, we have to look inside Canada. We need to make sure that we don't depend on the U.S. As I said during the pandemic, never again will we rely on any country in the world for the N95 mask. If I want to remind everyone, President Trump refused to give us the N95 mask. We built up our own N95 mask. We built up our own supply chain, and I highly recommend the next federal government. Let's start building a pipeline out to the West Coast until we can ship our oil anywhere in the world. Start focusing on building a pipeline east until we can ship our oil anywhere in the world. We don't have to rely on the Americans or President Trump that is attacking our livelihood, attacking our businesses. His goal is to take every single business out of Canada and ship it down to the U.S.
Ford did put in a bunch of mask
before,
mandates.
Canada is not for sale.
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Don't think they got that like outdoor scrum. No, I don't think they did. At Carney's event. All right, well, let's jump into some panels. Or we can watch the Goulds.
Hello.
This was her announcing she had paid the $50,000.
I just left the party office where I deposited my papers to be an official
the
candidate
signatures
in
and
the
stuff,
upcoming leadership
obviously.
race. And
She just
thanks
give them the
to
money and not the
hundreds
registration,
of volunteers
obviously.
who have raised their hands across this country, paid that initial deposit, and am officially a candidate for the upcoming Liberal leadership race. Je suis ici au bureau du Parti libéral à Ottawa où je viens de déposer mes papiers pour être une candidate pour la chefferie du Parti libéral. Et grâce aux centaines de bénévoles et donateurs de partout dans ce pays, j'ai payé le premier frais pour entrer dans cette course. Heard from people right across the country who tell me
I'm
that
glad
they
the
are
audio
rejoining
was good
the
on the
Liberal
mics,
Party
'cause
or
I-
joining
from
the
the
party for
scrum,
first
like,
time
every
because they're
second question
excited
got
about my candidacy. And what I
drowned
hear
out by a
over and
friggin'
over and
snowplow.
over again is that what I offer is hope for the future. And so I have to
Forgot to
say
say
thank you to
it's
all
too
of those
racist.
people who've raised their hand. And remember, the deadline to join...
Amy Klobuchar. This was bad. I met Klobuchar. Did I ever tell you guys that? It was at the Biden thing. Like, this was the same night I met the two Michaels, and I think Klobuchar was, and like, I missed friggin' Anakin Skywalker, which made me furious. Just making you furious. Wait, Klobuchar. I'm never gonna find it. Maybe. I might be able to. Come on. Where's the Klobuchar picture? There it is. So many hilarious, and then I think that's pretty sure that's Kovrig. I got clobbered. She didn't throw a stapler at me, which is good.
Join the membership for the Liberal
But
Party
great
to
call
vote in the
back,
upcoming Liberal
Rogan.
leadership race is
See,
January
I'm still
27th.
so stuffed up. I can't even
Commit
speak.
to vote for me at karinagould.ca and make a donation because I don't have deep pockets.
Oh, and there it is. He's national defense. I thought he was because he's not public safety anymore. Or who's Sajan's emergency preparedness? God. Yes, we used okay. So I know it's the C for the Canadian, but for part of me was like, is it the S? This is why I didn't think it would be as one-sided as it is.
It's the people who are standing up and saying they're going to support me are everyday Canadians who are giving $10, $25 that makes a difference. This is a grassroots, people-powered campaign, and I am so excited to have so many people across this country on board. Accordez-vous que pour joindre le Parti libéral, on doit le faire avant le 27 janvier pour pouvoir voter dans les élections pour la prochaine chefferie du Parti libéral. Et si vous pouvez, faites une don. Ça peut être 25 $, ça peut être 10 $. Parce que moi, je n'ai pas des poches qui sont profondes. Et les personnes qui sont en train de m'appuyer sont les Canadiens de quotidien qui disent que moi, je suis avec Karina, je suis là pour le futur de notre pays. Et ils donnent 25 $. Et c'est quelque chose qui vraiment va faire la différence. And I'm here today at the party office, not just to deposit my papers, but also because we need a Liberal Party of Canada for the next generation. The Liberal Party of Canada is more than one person. It's the thousands of Canadians across this country who have raised their hands to say that they want to build a better country. I joined the Liberal Party of Canada when I was 14 years old. I attended my first policy convention when I was 17. I've been with the Liberal Party through the ups and through the downs. But one thing that I can say for certain is that the incredible Canadians that have joined the Liberal Party of Canada over the years do it because it is their way to contribute to a better country. It's their opportunity to have the great debates about the kind of country that we want to be.
It's just a
And I want to make sure that the Liberal Party of Canada works for its
office
membership.
building in a tower.
I've heard from too many people across this country that the Liberal Party of Canada hasn't given members the space that they need. And so I'm here today to propose 3 things to make the Liberal Party of Canada about the members and give power back to our membership. First and foremost, we need to get together more, and I'm going to bring back policy conventions. We've been talking at you for too long. It's time for the Liberal Party of Canada to listen to our members once again. I remember attending regional meetings and national conventions where we had great debates on the convention floor. We need to get back to that because the people across this country who join our party do so because they have things to say and they have ideas to share. And so I want to hear from you. I want us to be that big red machine, not just in terms of knocking on doors, which of course is incredibly important, but in terms of the ideas that you are bringing forward to make our country the amazing place that it is. And as leader, I would be committed to meeting on an annual basis with all EDA presidents across the country. I also think it's time for us to decentralize the party. Ottawa doesn't know best. We need to empower our regions, our provinces, our people on the ground who are the eyes and ears that hear from our communities. One of the reasons why I think we lost touch over the past couple of years is because we weren't listening to our membership. You were talking to your neighbors, you were hearing from people across the country, and you were telling us what we needed to focus on.
The smoothie and
we
the
got too
Celsius
focused
have
on being
gone
government
straight
in Ottawa
through me. I'll be right back.
and not enough on what was happening on the grounds in our communities.
I do get a
want to make
question at
sure
the
that
end
we
of
have
this,
more
so.
field organizers in every region across the country, and not just on the ground, but digitally as well. We ran an excellent campaign in 2015, but it's 2025 now, and we need to adapt to the current situation and make sure that we can campaign in 2025 and for years to come. And finally, I would make sure that we are empowering young Liberals in this country and bring back the National Youth Director position. Young Liberals have always been a force in our party, and we need to make sure that you have the respect and the space to be that force once again. When I think about where Canada is today, I know that young people in general feel disenfranchised. They're worried about the future. And I'm here to say to all young Canadians, I get it, I understand, but I need your ideas, I need your energy, because you are going to keep propelling us forward. Alors, je propose 3 choses importantes pour les militants du Parti libéral du Canada. On doit assurer que nous sommes ensemble plus, qu'on a des conventions de politique, qu'on a des grands débats, parce que je sais que les idées les plus importantes viennent des militants, des membres de notre parti. C'est toujours les Canadiens qui se joignent des partis politiques et plutôt le Parti libéral qui donnent les meilleures idées que nous avons comme Parti libéral. Et je veux vous entendre. Et je me commis comme la prochaine chef du parti pour assurer qu'une fois par an, j'ai des réunions avec tous les présidents régionaux de partout dans ce pays. Et on doit aussi assurer qu'on décentralise le parti. Parce que nous savons que Ottawa ne sache pas ce qui est meilleur dans chaque région de notre pays. On doit donner du pouvoir à nos régions, assurer que nous avons des employés dans chaque région dans le parti et que ce n'est pas seulement sur le terrain, mais aussi digital. On a fait une campagne excellente en 2015, mais aujourd'hui, c'est 2025 et on doit adapter et renouveler notre parti pour assurer que nous sommes prêts pour engager et se battre dans une campagne aujourd'hui aussi. Et enfin, je veux redonner le pouvoir aux jeunes libéraux dans notre pays. Je vais mettre en place la position de directeur national pour la jeunesse. Parce qu'on sait que les jeunes dans notre pays ont besoin d'avoir une mot dans notre futur. Parce que le futur de notre pays, c'est les jeunes Canadiens. Et je sais, je comprends, je vous écoute les jeunes qui ont perdu la confiance, qui ont perdu l'espoir. Et on doit réengager avec vous et assurer que cette promesse du Canada est là pour vous. Merci, je suis prête à vos questions.
Vous avez à offrir pour le Québec?
Pour le Québec?
Oui. Si vous êtes première ministre, est-ce que vous avez certaines choses, parce qu'il n'y a pas de grands noms candidats
Oui.
candidature québécoise, qu'est-ce que vous avez concrètement à offrir pour les Québécois et pour les francophones?
Absolument. Bien, premièrement, c'est super important qu'on ait une chef qui est bilingue et qui est à l'aise en français. Ça, c'est quelque chose qui ne devrait pas être négociable. Et je sais que je ne suis pas francophone, mais je parle le français et j'adore le français et je sais que c'est quelque chose qui est non négociable pour les Québécois et les francophones partout au pays. C'est pas seulement pour les Québécois, mais je sais que c'est quelque chose qui est important. Une des choses, premièrement, que je vais faire comme Premier ministre et dans mon discours du trône, c'est de mettre le projet de loi 282 sur la gestion de l'œuf dans mon discours à la trône parce qu'on a besoin d'assurer qu'on protège la gestion de l'œuf dans ce pays. Aussi, je vais respecter les juridictions des provinces. Quand j'étais ministre de Famille, j'ai travaillé avec tous mes homologues dans les provinces et territoires partout dans le pays pour justement avoir des accords sur
I don't know if they're
garderies
flailing.
et
It
la
seems
petite
like they're
enfance.
all very
Et voilà,
much
Québec est
coalescing
une
around
leader
Carney.
dans ce domaine. Et on a pris les leçons et les exemples du Québec dans les garderies et on les appliqués partout dans le pays. Alors, je sais que nous avons une équipe excellente des députés libéraux de Québec et je vais assurer de toujours travailler avec eux pour justement représenter les Québécois et les Québécoises d'une manière efficace au niveau
Welch's
fédéral.
grape ghost flavor. Ooh. Oh, it's 0 caffeine. Well, that's not useful for me.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think we have to be honest about the fact that Canadians have lost trust in our party. And part of it is because I don't think
Flaherty hated
we
Carney.
responded to the issues that they were telling us mattered to them. I think when it came to the end of the pandemic and the spike in inflation, Canadians were saying things are
I'll
really
check them out.
hard.
I don't know if they have
And
them. Maybe they don't
we
have them
didn't
in the US
say,
because I don't
"You're
think I've ever
right."
seen them.
We didn't say, yeah, things are really hard right now and here's how we're going to fix it. It took us too long to understand that Canadians were struggling to make ends meet. And instead of taking a moment and listening to Canadians, we said, here's all the great things that we're doing for you.
I mean, one thing, like my dad's been he's been a conservative voter my entire life. And one thing he always said about the 2008 financial crisis is that the Harper government helped insulate Canada from the worst of the 2008 financial crisis. And Carney does have a legitimate argument, at least, to say that he was part of that. And I don't know if it was intentional, but I thought it was interesting that in his sort of introductory digital video that we can play, he highlighted that he's from the prairies and raised by school teachers, which I'm like, that sounds familiar. Who else? Where else have I heard that?
And I don't think that was the right approach.
You don't know that's
you know, when
Polyev
mortgages
from the
were
prairies
going
and was
up,
raised by
when
a
rents
teacher.
were going up, when
don't
groceries
think
were going
both
up,
of his parents
we
were
didn't
teachers, though.
respond quickly enough to the areas where Canadians were struggling. And I think we have to do a better job.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a fair argument for Polyev to make.
No, it's both of those things, because it's not just communications. You have to have policies that respond to where Canadians are
They
at.
accused Polyev of
And
not
we
having a
didn't
carbon
respond
plan because he
quickly
wanted to
enough
cut the carbon
to where
tax,
Canadians
and now
were.
they want
We
to
got there eventually,
mostly
but
cut the carbon
Canadians
tax
had been
in
saying
to varying
we're struggling
degrees.
and we need help. And
Whether
it
they
took
want to
us too
replace it
long
or
to
just
listen to
not
what they
do
were
the
saying.
increase.
So look, I don't think we got the capital gains tax increase right last year.
Is kind of with me saying if there's anyone doing the Bernie Sanders route, it's Gould, but I don't know if the Bernie Sanders route includes. Well, we didn't get the capital gains tax correct.
Lots of conversations.
I don't know if that applies
with,
there.
The tech
that might be a
sector, with
contradiction
folks that are
from my
affected by
description of it.
To try and figure out what we can do to encourage growth and have more entrepreneurship here in Canada. So I'll have more to say on that in the coming days. Oh, that's a great question for my cabinet colleagues, but what I can tell you is that the Liberal leadership is decided by the membership. And I have, full respect for my cabinet colleagues, for colleagues in caucus, and I, encourage them to endorse whoever they decide to. But let's recall that the leadership of the party is decided by the membership. And what I am hearing...
And we also didn't, we didn't do that sort of thing where they were, packaging loans or whatever, Watch The Big Short, they explain it. But we weren't doing that. The, analogy he makes with the Jenga thing, Canada wasn't doing that.
From the
this MBS CDOs, that's the one.
Membership across the country is how it...
Or we were doing it to a far less degree. I don't think we did them... Yeah, mortgage-backed security, collateralized debt obligations. Also, this isn't even my thing, but the unofficial 2008 trilogy of movies is you start with and it's because it's the trilogy from different perspectives. So the really good straightforward one is Margin Call. If you've never watched Margin Call with Jeremy Irons, Kevin Spacey, Zachary Quinto, who else is in it? The guy from The Mentalist. You ever seen that show? He's in it. Who else is in it? I think Demi Moore's in it. If I'm not confusing her, I think that was Demi Moore. But that's a really good one about, and it's from the perspective of one of these financial company institutions. It's a fictionalized one, but financial institutions that's they have some analyst who's the first to realize that the Jenga tower's about to fucking topple over. So they are okay, we need to sell all of it. And they start selling it all, trying to sell all of their CDOs by lunchtime. And in that narrative, they basically set off the stampede that causes the 2008 financial crisis. So that's one. The second one is obviously The Big Short. And then the third one, which will surprise you, is The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. That one is about the 2008 financial crisis. And honestly, if you're not going to do an in-depth reading and go into the sources and the reporting and all that, if you watch those three movies, I think you will come away with a fairly good understanding of what happened in 2008. That's a very basic sort of pop culture sourced foundation to sort of wrap your head around what happened from a bunch of different angles, and they're all very entertaining movies as well.
Excited they are.
The Other Guys might be one of the funniest movies ever made
by my candidacy, and the fact that so many people are raising their hands, making donations, asking to volunteer is phenomenal. And unlike some of the other candidates, I've only been organizing for 2 weeks.
The GST break that's on certain items in place right now, is that something that...
Buying mortgage bonds by the central bank should be criminal. They even bought corporate debt. Direct central bank monetization of corporate debt should be met with. Well, that's a bit extreme, not a bud. Yeah, like the credits of the other guys alone is probably of like, if you just watch the credits of the other guys, you probably will come away with a better understanding of the 2008 financial crisis than most people.
I would make permanent a GST cut on children's clothing, diapers, strollers, and car seats. Bon, je vais attendre ce qui décide le Cour suprême.
Lincoln Trucks, I literally, like, saying this, I made my dad watch the other guys. Because I knew he would watch that one. Like, he really liked, The Big Short. He saw that on his own. And he actually was the one who told me to watch Margin Call. Because after he was like, oh, I really like The Big Short. You know what you should watch, Stuart, is Margin Call. And then I made him watch the other guys. Because the other guys is great. Money Never... Which one? Is that the Greed sequel? The Shia LaBeouf? Yeah, the Wall Street sequel? Yeah, that's a good one. Also, and yeah, the original Wall Street as well. I think it's like a direct sequel. It's Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. I think it's fair to say it's a full sequel.
Mais ce que je vais dire, c'est que je respecte la juridiction des provinces et des territoires, mais le rôle du gouvernement fédéral, c'est d'appuyer les droits de tous les Canadiens. Et le Parti libéral, c'est le parti des choix, des chartes, des droits et des libertés.
American Psycho is so funny because it's like the dudes who watch that movie and come away with like, I need to improve my morning routine are my they might be a little bit, you got to keep your eye on them, but it's like, yeah, you didn't get this movie, did you? Or you've only seen it on YouTube Shorts and you're
chef du parti, comme
21 years old probably.
Sera d'assurer que je protège les droits de tous les Canadiens.
Plusieurs de vos collègues qui disent qu'ils saluent votre travail, mais qui vont aller donner leur appui à certains candidats qui ont plus d'expérience que vous. Comment vous vivez ça, vous, comme étant la plus jeune candidate? Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas un petit pincement au cœur qui se forme à cause de ça?
Bon, j'ai beaucoup de respect pour mes collègues. Ils vont faire la décision qu'ils veulent faire. Mais je peux dire que toute ma vie, les gens m'ont dit que je suis trop jeune pour... Ce que je peux dire, que competitive et l'expérience. We are facing a potential trade war with the United States, and I think we have to know where we are on.
Yeah, no,
where the country
the second one is like Shia LaBeouf is like dating Gordon
day,
Gekko's daughter,
whatever decision
or he's married to her,
and
then he becomes his like protege or whatever.
Of Canadians at heart, and if we are in an extremely difficult position with the United States. Having an election might not be the best thing to do at that time, but I think we have to see where we are on March 9th.
Why do you think that you can face Donald Trump?
I thought it would be good to stream, but I can already feel my nose stuffing back up.
Because I face bullies in the House of Commons every single day, stand up to them and win. So I know how to stand up for Canadians. I know how to build a team that can do that, and I'm not afraid of a challenge. But moi, je tiens debout chaque jour dans la Chambre des communes contre les personnes qui veulent m'intimider. Et j'en ai
Ça
pas
va bien,
et je sais que je peux se tenir debout pour les Canadiens.
Je parle un petit peu de français.
Faire une équipe importante qui va défendre les intérêts des Canadiens.
Apologies.
Et j'ai la force et la confiance de la force.
Welcome. See, there's a francophone here, so now I don't have to skip through the French.
Yeah. So look, we'll see what the Supreme Court says very shortly in terms of their decision. But what I can say is, while I absolutely respect the jurisdiction of provinces and territories,
How's it going?
the role of the federal government is to defend the rights of all Canadians. And the Liberal Party of Canada is the party of the Charter, and our job is to defend the rights of Canadians. So I will see what the Supreme Court decides, but what I can assure Canadians is that as Liberal Party leader, as
I got
Prime
my,
Minister, I will always stand up for the rights of Canadians.
I got my Dayquil, NyQuil.
Ouais. Oui.
And alternating
sur
with
la tarification du carbone, bon, pour le Québec et pour la Colombie-Britannique, ils ont des systèmes provinciaux déjà en place. Ce que je vais dire, c'est que j'écoute les Canadiens qui nous disent que ce n'est pas le moment de lever le prix sur la pollution parce qu'ils sont vraiment en train d'avoir des difficultés à payer les frais qu'ils ont déjà. Alors, ce que je vais commettre, c'est que la première chose que je vais faire comme première ministre, c'est de canceller l'augmentation sur le prix de la pollution qui était visée pour le 1er avril et d'assurer qu'on fait que les grands polluants paient plus, mais aussi d'assurer que nous avons des programmes en place pour aider les Canadiens à faire les choix qu'ils veulent faire pour réduire leurs propres émissions. Ce que je sais des Canadiens, c'est que même s'ils ne sont pas d'accord avec le prix en pollution, qu'ils les aident à faire revenir des voilà, eu toutes les sources là. Well, we have something called cabinet confidence. And so what happens in cabinet stays in cabinet.
She's being asked, like,
I can say
you
that
voted for all these things, and now you're saying you disagree with them. What
positions
changed?
Throughout.
The Conservatives have carbon tax coronation just waiting in the chamber, ready to go.
Well, look, as the government House leader,
Probably
at
not
the
even
time,
waiting. I think they've
felt
already
that
started
was,
deploying it.
It was only the responsible thing to continue to deliver
No.
fall economic statement.
Katie Telford does
as
not
the
do
government of Canada,
interviews.
we have a fiduciary responsibility to
At least
Canadians and to markets at that time.
Extremely
and so, despite,
rarely. You might be able to find
the chaos that
one or two,
could have
but-
ensued because of that day. I took the decision to say that we have to do this because markets and Canadians are expecting it. Of course, I didn't write the fall economic statement. And like everybody else saw it at the same time, but felt that it was important for stability.
It's not just stick
and
with
for COM to make
carbon
sure
tax
that was
carney.
presented, and that's why I did it.
If you win a Liberal leadership, would you let Han Dong back into the Liberal caucus and let him run the
I have to decide every single
Han Dong
person
question.
that is there, and
Foreign
I have to
interference
make a
inquiry
decision
final
later
report is out on Tuesday. So we'll see if there's any juicy tidbits in there.
Well, I have actually not been privy to
I'm not holding
any
my
of those
breath.
conversations in my previous role, so I would have to learn about them at the time that I become the leader.
Yeah, we're at like $1.50 a liter, I think. Ooh, this is my question.
Previous role. Have to learn about them at the time.
If you
that I
listen
become
real
the leader.
close, you can hear me. Yeah, it was basically because it was like I had followed it after Indigenous Services Minister Patty Hadju and Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Gary Nanasangri. They both endorsed Carney, but I noticed, I didn't notice. Shout out to Alicia Passafume. She's the one who sort of noticed first that in their actual endorsements, neither one of them mentioned specifically reconciliation or Indigenous focused issues. Patty Hadju, when I asked her about it, did correct me, going, all of the issues I mentioned are also issues that affect Indigenous people, which, fair play, correct. But like the word reconciliation, no mention of like clean water. That was a big thing Haju was pushing. She didn't mention that. Carney, though, I think in his response to their endorsements did mention it. So I was just basically asking the leaders on like what their positions are on it. Will they commit to ending the remaining, I think there's 31 water advisories on First Nations communities. I think the majority of them, I think about 20 or so, are in Ontario. That's where the majority are. And then just there's still unfulfilled recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's report. The main cause of which? The water advisories? Like why they're there or why they haven't been removed? Why they're there is just, I think for a lot of it, it's just like the infrastructure is such that you have, I think sometimes the pipes themselves are like lead or they're contaminated or like the water source has been contaminated. I think there's a bunch of different reasons, case by case. But just like the result is that in a lot of these places, the water they get out of their tap is not potable. Like you can't drink it and you'll get, that's like the fix for a lot of it is like you either redig the wells, you put in new pipes. For some of them, they've built new filtration plants for the water so that like they can still take from the same source, but then once it gets to the houses, it's clean. Just lack of resources. Costs a lot of money to fix that problem. And like that's the sort of I think there was brought forward like when Trudeau made that commitment when he was running for the leadership. That was a big deal. Like there were a lot. They haven't finished the job, and that was my question: is do you commit to I didn't want to say continuing the work because what the hell does that mean? My question was, will you commit to finishing that job?
Government would you complete that job?
Yes.
Complete that job.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Fairness
I
to
was just speaking with
Gould,
former
just a
Chief
straightforward
David Hill
yes.
last night at Six Nations, who, the community that's closest to me in Burlington that I.
What just happened? Is this stream still going? Is the stream still working? Okay, I think that was weird. No, yeah, and that was my like internet. Or no, my browser just sort of. I think maybe I just have too many tabs open. And it ran out of like memory. I did have to download a lot of pictures, so maybe, oh yeah, there's running out of space on my computer. That'll do it.
Hello, good morning.
Right,
Bonjour
I think
tout le
we've
monde.
fixed
I
it.
have just left the party office where
No.
I was just speaking
Yeah, we'll just
with
finish off
former
her
Chief
answer.
David Hill last
So
night
it is my
at Six
question.
Nations, who, the community that's closest to me in Burlington that I visited a number of times and have developed a very good relationship with over the years. And, one of the things that we spoke about is my deep commitment to reconciliation and continuing on this path. And, you know, I'm thrilled to have her support and to make sure that reconciliation is something that we continue to talk about in this Liberal leadership race, and that we continue to talk about in the upcoming election. It is not something that we can let go of. This is such an important, I wouldn't even call it issue, because it's broader than that. It's about who we are as Canadians and what kind of country we want to be.
A phony letter purporting to be from Trudeau. The letter includes a supposed offer from Trudeau to meet with protest participants for a specific amount of time that varies depending on whether they are truckers and when they got vaccinated. One example, 2 minutes per trucker that can show proof of vaccination received prior to February 8th. In addition to its bizarre substance, the letter has other obvious signs of phoniness, grammatical errors, inconsistent formatting, and a title, Ottawa convoy protesters, oddly placed above the logo of the Prime Minister's office. Some social media users suspect the document was intended as a parody, but others took it as real. Trudeau told reporters in late January that he had no intention of meeting with protesters. What's this? You kidding? What is happening? Why does my browser keep just, like... It's very confusing. Just giving you too much truth.
And I just
Kate Telford has asked about a fake letter that, why I like how they put fake in quotes, that made international news and talks about a story that was created that I was going to create a false flag operation and blame it on the occupiers. Telford says the info circulated on social media and in physical forms too.
Ways in which we might agree to some kind of, I don't even know what, but this fake letter was corrected. And
you know who wrote the letter?
News. It was corrected on CNN at the time.
You don't have to type it in chat, but tell me who wrote the letter. I
personally was asked to stay away for quite some time from the downtown core, because there was it started on Telegram and then moved on to other social media channels. A story that was created that I was going to create a false flag operation and have a horse killed and then blame it on the occupiers. So there were concerns for my security during that period as well. We saw it being conveyed and distributed in multiple different ways. The letter, for example, was, you know, both screenshots of it floating around on social media. But it was,
I feel like there was just so much happening that I don't even think I even. Yeah, the tank thing, he made the text about the tanks.
Was actually being distributed in hard copy. And the other things, as I mentioned, were moving from different social media platforms from one to the other.
A lot of people being, I would say, rather irresponsible with their communications on official devices.
Different things where they were disseminating this information as well.
That's insane. All right. Let's watch some panels.
People are talking about their positions, asking for support. And I'm frankly looking at what they have to offer.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the opportunities and the caliber of the candidates that are coming forward. I'm very excited.
This is from yesterday.
I'm working separately, sometimes somewhat discreetly, with every candidate to make sure that they are ready when they show their platform. They're ready to demonstrate that the Quebec contribution.
I don't know if
is clearly seen.
That would be
some neutral
huge.
Liberal caucus numbers there on what they're
like to go from government to no longer party status would be
into the ring to replace Justin Trudeau. Of those,
nuts.
Mark Carney has a wide lead with 48 endorsements from Liberal
Nobody
caucus
gets
members.
party
Chrystia
status.
Freeland has 26 MPs backing her, and Karina Gould has 2 endorsements. So how much sway could endorsements have in the race? Joining me now for our panel of Liberal insiders.
338 seats for the
former Quebec
Bloc
advisor
Québécois.
to Trudeau. And here with me in studio, Vandana Cutter is a former advisor to Prime Minister Trudeau, as well as
Or is
Laura
it still
D'Angelo.
3?
Hey guys, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Nice to see you all. Vandana, let me start with you on this one, on the endorsements thing, which is like, I feel like every time I open my inbox, there's a new email coming in, right, with like a different Liberal MP endorsing Mark Carney. Like there's like a stampede of people, and obviously they've timed
I think
it
it's
well because
more.
they purposely want to
There'll be
drip
more
it out
ridings.
and make it look
I
like
think
he
it's
has
up
some
to like
momentum.
340
But what do you
something
make of him taking a pretty
after the
sizable
redistribution.
lead in terms of the number of MPs that are lining up behind his candidacy?
Well, it tells me the strength of his campaign. And
Prime
I think
Minister
it also shows me
Yves
that he's been
Blanchet.
doing the work. I don't think this type of endorsements can come in a short amount of time. It tells me he has been trying to work the phones, call people, connect with people. I know there's been reporting of him seeing with different MPs here in Ottawa. So that all helps to gain trust and authenticity. But it shows that I think a lot of the caucus memberships are looking for that change, or someone who can look like a strong economic steward, someone who feels like they think can be the best person to bet against, Pierre Poilievre. And the best thing about a short campaign is that with this many caucus announcements, you want to be able to utilize their infrastructure. So a lot of these caucus members already have donors and and people they could rely on to help gain memberships and support. So it shows actually quite the strength I'm seeing.
Yeah, Laura, what do you make? I mean, what I'm struck by is that so many cabinet ministers are lining up.
I have them both.
They've never worked
I have
with
them
Carney.
both.
They've worked with Chrystia Freeland in some cases for 10 years.
That I record on my mom's
Does that
Rogers
tell
account.
you something about her candidacy, about her?
So I generally try to get watch them
It's
both.
really interesting. It definitely tells you something about how they're feeling about her. Certainly. It's also really interesting to me, though, that a lot of these endorsements are coming with very little policy, right? These are big endorsements coming for someone who has not put out a platform and also hasn't put out a platform on the party side either, what he envisions for the future. And I think that's really, really interesting because Carney's campaign has also really been running much more of a general election.
I think if I had to give
we're not
a
seeing
preference
that from the other two frontrunners, from Chrystia and Karina. We're seeing a much more traditional leadership campaign from the two of them, really, coordinating
Vashti does really good
Liberal
interviews.
member votes. And these
So
endorsements,
give Vashti
while
the edge
impressive
there.
and fun to watch, and certainly
As far as
generating this
panel
momentum,
composition.
they don't always translate to votes when you look at the point system, right? We're watching Karina and
Maybe
Chrystia court
edge
those
to
votes
CBC.
in different ridings that aren't held.
Yeah, Jonathan, I want to play a clip because Chrystia Freeland was on CBC Radio's The House earlier. The full interview will air tomorrow, but they released a clip early. Let's listen to what Chrystia said about all the endorsements going to Carney right now.
It's central to my campaign to see this is not about liberal elites deciding, this is about the grassroots. It is certainly looking like Mark is the choice of the liberal establishment. It is certainly looking like he is the PMO's candidate. And
the PMO's candidate.
And
Can you explain that?
And that is okay with me.
So, Jonathan, what do you make of that framing? She's saying that Carney is the PMO's candidate. What's she talking about there?
She's talking about the fact that she didn't get their endorsements. So if she had gotten their endorsements and she was trying to get them, she was trying to get everyone's. By the way, everyone.
I mean, Thursday's at issue. Usually watch that. Does Global do like a 5 to 7 sort of show like Power and Politics and Question Period? Because their Sunday shows are good with Mercedes. West Block.
She's trying to get everyone's endorsement.
Yeah.
If she had been more successful, if more people had come out in
Come on, man.
support of her, I don't think she would be claiming that, the number of endorsements or the number of cabinet ministers who are supporting you is indicative of PMO support or the establishment support. So, you take it with a grain of salt. You also ask the question, why is it that, the majority of those who have committed so far are going more towards Carney and less towards her? I think there are two key reasons. One is I think that people are making calculation either whether they think Carney
West
will win
Wing
the
reference.
leadership, or more importantly, they think
Jedediah
there's a better
Bartlett
chance
was
of
the
winning
president
an
in
election
the West
than
Wing.
She does. I suspect that's part of it. Again, to Laura's point, we haven't heard many policy details. And the
That
other
was his
key
campaign
thing
slogan.
is that, I think that there are members of cabinet and caucus, even those in caucus who were calling for Prime Minister Trudeau to leave. I don't think that many of them are happy with the way she went about leaving, the way she resigned, and the way she's been attacking the Prime Minister since. So I think that she's, in a sense, paying the price for some of the ways she's gone about doing things, and less about herself or her qualities as a potential leader. I think it's more about just the last 6 weeks and how things have gone down.
Vandana, do you think that Jonathan's onto something there? Is it lingering frustration, maybe within caucus, within cabinet in particular, with how she handled her exit?
I think by doing this, like, members and grassroots members really want someone who's going to run not against Justin Trudeau. They want someone who's going to run against Pierre Poilievre. And I think this is a gross underestimation of how the membership and grassroots feels about Justin Trudeau. Yes, maybe people wanted him to move on, but I still appreciate that he got us from third to first place, that he was a good campaigner, he did some good policies and good for the country, and people don't like infighting.
Well, I mean, it is a Liberal leadership race, so it will be the Liberals who will be deciding who wins the race. So they are the people you'd want to ask.
An airing dirty laundry. So I actually think that's interesting, is that it's going to pave the way for actually Karina Gould, because I think the negativity is off-putting.
This is a conservative leadership race. You'd get a panel of conservatives. I actually think she's getting a lot of young people and grassroots people who are interested in her that could give a good path for her.
She's had a strong launch, really. I mean, like, she only has 2 caucus endorsements, but, you know, she's a great communicator.
They're not talking about whether she'll win the election. They're talking about
great launch, great
her
media
endorsements by Liberal
like, she showed
caucus and cabinet members.
She can stand her ground. She has a point of view. But what I still found interesting about her remarks yesterday is that she was kind of disavowing, Laura, so much of what the government has done over the last little while, like saying they didn't get it right on the capital gains tax.
But then you won't be able to vote as a conservative.
Should be off the table. She was saying they bungled the cost of living crisis and how they handled inflation. She said the party brass have not been responsive to the membership. Like, she has a long list of complaints herself. What do you make of that strategy?
I think all 3 of these candidates are going to be doing that, and I think they have to, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a certain amount
Well,
of...
you can't be a Liberal. You can't be a Liberal member
if
you're a member of another party.
A little bit of authenticity there.
So you might have to
end
end
some real
your
criticism, right?
or cancel your
none
Conservative
of us agree
Party
with
membership.
everything that happens in our workplace, and so I think she's being smart in coming out really quickly and saying that before.
But there are some people who don't know that.
On that by everyone else.
So I'm using you as a learning opportunity.
And Vantana's. I think the other thing that Karina's been doing that's really interesting is using alternative
Hey,
media.
It's
She's been on podcasts a lot. She's been on a lot of YouTube channels. She's
You see
really
me?
trying to
You see me?
use that populist playbook that we see coming from so many conservative candidates right now to capture the minds of Liberals, but also Canadians that are not normally captured by the Liberal Party.
Yeah. Jonathan, you must have seen today, too, that Freeland was out with a press release today calling for 4 debates in this leadership campaign, 2 in English,
so many.
2 in French. I guess the party only requires that there be 2, 1 in both official languages. She wants to up the ante a little bit, have 2 more. Why do you think that she's asking for more debates? What's in it for her?
My guess, and I
think you might have been able to see me in there.
Montreal, Quebec person on the panel is that she thinks that she had
so many concerns. I think I might be right behind this camera guy, because that guy in the yellow hat is my camera guy, like my photographer for the Hill Times. Not mine. He works for the Hill Times. But like I feel like I'm probably right behind this camera guy. Seeing if Andrew got some good shots. So yeah, no wild stew spotted.
Little bit smoothing out, but I think that that's something that's going to come over, an intense period over the next 5-6 weeks, whatever we have left. And so I think that's my gut feeling, is that this is really to put him on the spot more on the French than on the English side.
Vandana, what do you make of 4 debates? I mean, it seems like, is that the right way to go?
No. I think Liberals really want to know who is going to best give us a shot at winning and best shot against Pierre Poilievre. Debating against, like, none of them are Pierre Poilievre. So debating against each other, I think, is pretty futile. I think you need the English and French debate for sure. I think more what I want to see is who's connecting with Canadians, who can go to, like, barbecues, and, well, it was wintertime, but, like, you know, go to, like, grassroots places, go to church basements, go to the Legion, and connect with people in the best way possible, who has great a social media strategy. Like, we've been behind on that with the Conservatives, so how do we get ahead of that? Who has the best
Lent in
strategy? I think
February?
Laura gave some good ideas that Karina has been doing. So who?
Or is
That's
that,
what
no,
I'm
that's
looking
March,
for.
isn't it?
So I don't want to know who's the smartest. I think they're all
Too late for
collectively really
that.
smart. I think they all have good. I'm sure good ideas will come through. But I want to know is like who's going to give us the best chance against Pierre Poilievre, and I want to see them with actual Canadians out there. The membership's important, but what about those voters? There's a
They
lot
only
of people
have
who
until,
are,
like,
many of these
I think
people are
Monday.
interested in, but they're not going to sign up to be Liberal members. So I want to know how you're going to do with the general population.
To sign up
Laura,
members.
what do you make of the debate ask of Freeland?
4 seems like a lot. 1 in each language makes the most sense.
Especially with the time,
and to
March
Vandana's
9th,
point
4
and
before
Jonathan's
March
point,
9th?
The goal here for most Liberals is who is the most electable right now, and who are the Canadians going to vote for, likely very quickly, right? Likely in May. That is really the answer for Liberals right now.
Jonathan, quick final word to you. I also take it that many debates might give the Conservatives some fodder.
I haven't watched any of it yet, but it's on my list. The Curse of Politics daily podcast during the 2021 election is really good. I would suggest if you're a politics junkie, go back and take a listen through that.
Right? Like they're gonna.
Jenny Byrne was a candidate or a panelist, co-host, host. She was on the show with I think it was Corey and Hurley.
A lot more clips to work with. They're going to have a lot of things to pounce on too if they have that much tape to go through.
Yeah, to Vandana's point, I don't know what advantage there is other than fighting amongst yourself, and none of those debaters are going to come off the way Pierre Poilievre did. So it's not exactly like it's debate prep, getting ready.
Oh my gosh. Green Party leader Elizabeth May, joined by members of the Green Party shadow cabinet, will host a press conference to make an announcement regarding the party's leadership on Monday, January 27th, 2025. There's no way. Green Party has 2 seats. Is she gonna step down?